Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E Streaming. It is Thursday night, and that means one thing. It is time for the ANZCAR Cup. Yes, we are back in action here tonight. It is Darlington. The lady in black joins us tonight, and she is wearing her finest black dress indeed, as it's round number one of the playoffs. Yes, we are into the playoff season here. It is coming down to this, the final 10 races of the season. We have 10 drivers locked in. If you were watching just before with the slideshow, you saw all the drivers in their splendid paint jobs through the screen, but we'll go through the details in just a few moments. I'm as ever Mr. Carl Wilkinson will be joining me up here in the booth. I have Mark Jansen. Mark, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. As you said, Carl, we're into the playoffs, and that means only 10 weeks left of the season, and it's going to come down to these 10 races to see who can get the better of the other drivers.
Absolutely, just 10 races left, and quietly under his breath, I could just hear Matt Hunter just woohooing there. Matt, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good. Yeah, no, 10 races to go, but this is, if you're a little bit drained already after 26, you got to try and dig down and find a bit more and up your performance for 10 more weeks. So that's what we'll try and do as well.
Absolutely. The drivers have had a long old season, so have the broadcasters as well. But I always find once you get into that final couple of races, you guys start going, oh no, I'm going to have to be waiting again as well. And you start missing it all over again. And that always is the cycle. Well, we have just got through the warm-up session and the qualifying has been done. So let's go through the starting grid for tonight's race. Here it is, of course, round 27 of 36 here at Darlington. Taking pole position tonight, it is Barry Neal locking out the front row, taking it with Neil Pearson, the Barry Neal and Neil Pearson on the front. That will absolutely throw us up at some stage in the race. DVR's newest signing, Ryan Jones, starts behind him on row 2 with Daniel Hederscheid for Natari. Row number 3 sees JCW and Stevie Dubb working their way to the third row. Fourth row is Maddie Ray and Riley Curtis. Row number 5 sees Ruben Phelps next to Andrew Dyson. Row 6 has Dave Douglas and Lachlan Urquio lined up next to each other. Jai Schultz, Philip Worley make up our 7th row tonight. Row number 8 sees Shane Bowen and Alexander Sheridan making a Cobalt Racing, row number 8. Row 9 sees Christopher Tomlin and our lowest qualified playoff driver, Norman Clark, in row 9. Phil Otto, Kobe Jordan make up our 10th row. Luke Crum will be starting at back on row number 11. 21 cars here tonight, ready to race. Plenty of action still to come. Just quickly looking at track temperature, about 30 degrees. 28 degrees air temperature. Expect that to go down a little bit as the darkness crawls into the track. Well, we are about to go racing here for the first race of the playoffs, Mark. It is all to play for now for those final few races.
It definitely is. And just quickly to our watchers out there, the playoff cars, most of them have got yellow window banners on, so you'll be able to distinguish who's actually in the playoff and who's not.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit easier at a glance, and we'll try and get everybody in uniform with that once we are ready. But it's Barry Neal going to be leading us away here for the first lap here at Darlington. We are going to shut up so we can enjoy these cars roar away for lap number 1. 160 to go here at Darlington, and we go green for the first race of the playoffs. Oh, and we got disaster happening in the mid pack as the car has gone around. We've got a big crash. Shane Bowen has been involved in that one, and we go to caution straight away through turn number 1. It didn't take long to see the lady in black fighting. As it looks like Philip Worley's had a bit of a moment going into the corner. Just clipped the side of Shane Bowen, I think it was. And then Phil Otto, I think, got caught up in that one as well. So quite a few cars getting clipped in the early stages there. And Alexander Sheridan has some fairly, just a bit of damage on there as well.
It looks like just a light touch, and that was enough to unsettle the rear end of Philip Worley's car, and that turned him around. So unfortunately for those 3 drivers, there'll be some heavy damage there.
Yeah, it can really affect the cars. But with this early caution, it means that we've got people coming down the lane already. And if you're new to the ANZCAR Cup, the reason you'll see people darting in the lane straight away, not just to get a little bit of extra fuel, but it's also to do some tweaks, of course. You can change the setup in the race server. So you start off with the same setup as everybody else. But once you come to pit lane, you can change things like tyre pressure and the bump on the suspension. And that can be a huge advantage on a race around here at Darlington.
Yeah, definitely. I know some guys will be looking at lowering that inside tyre pressure, as we see most of the guys go up and taking tyres. At the moment, most of them, like Ruben Phelps there, Lachlan Urquio, Dyson only took outsides. So there's definitely going to be some changes made there. And it's very quickly because that they preset it as they come into the pit lane.
Yeah, that's it. They got it ready to go, and they have tweaked their cars. So we've had, well, almost half the field come down the lane to do some tweaks, some others staying out. So Neil Pearson up in the lead now, ahead of Barry, Neil, Ryan Jones, Stevie Dubb, Dave Douglas, Joe Schultz, Alexander Sheridan, Christopher Tomlin, Luke Crump, Kobe Jordan. That's our top 10 at the moment. And then outside the top 10 are all the cars that have made a tweak down pit lane. A few people popping in just to get a couple of repairs done, but mainly it's getting those tweaks done to the cars so they can see what they can do in this race, and that could be a huge advantage if we get a long green flag period.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just looking at Barry Neal's car. It's unusual to see him in a black and white car going the Kiwi way instead of his orange car.
Mate, that's a Team Kiwi car, that one. That's brilliant. Team
is
Kiwi Racing.
That is really good. I really do like that.
He's got the all-black paint job on there tonight. It is looking good as it goes out there, and it's nice and not too many black cars out there. There's lots with black accents, but a solid sort of black car is not too often. There's a little white stripe down there. So it's still somewhat easy to pick out of the field, but not as noticeable as the bright orange, you've got to say.
Yeah, it's going to be one that may catch us out tonight, because we're so used to seeing him in that orange car.
As they come round, the green flag's about to drop. They're going to get to the restart zone, and away we go. Into the race we go. Back to green flag racing here at Darlington. Hopefully, we can now get some good green flag laps. People can get their rhythm in. Of course, the restart's always a dangerous point here at Darlington, because you tend to be side by side. And this track is not the easiest one to run too wide at.
No, and it's not a real oval. It's an egg-shaped track, and it tends to catch some people out. We'll see some guys once they get some heat in their tyres, get down below that white dotted line through 1 and 2, and look for the shorter way around.
Yeah, there's a few different lines you can take here, and they can work out very well if you get them working to your advantage, and that can make a big difference on this track. It really favours those drivers that want to take a bit of a risk as well, because running that high line is usually the superior option here at Darlington.
Yeah, and if you're going to choose that high line, you'll find a lot of guys right up against the fence. They'll drop down probably half a car width to a car width off the fence through the turns, but down the front straight and back straight, they will get right up against that wall, as we just see there in the background. I think it was Jai Schultz just touched the outside wall, so he'll have his first black stripe for the night.
That's it. It's the all-important part at Darlington is getting that stripe. You're not running Darlington right unless you give that wall a little kiss, and just giving it a little glancing blow is so crucial to get it working here. If you can get that right, you can really get it going. We've got a car going around, and didn't see who that was. I think it might have been Kobe Jordan. Caution flag is not out though, so we remain green. So Jordan's just got into just getting through the corner, and he just gets a little bit unsettled coming into the turn. Back end steps out, tries to save it, goes down onto that low line, and it flattens out there very quickly. And he's trying to save it, and eventually it pendulums around right in front of Ruben Phelps, and heavy contact into the wall, and that might be the end of the night for the 080. So we get back, we keep racing here, no caution flag coming out for that one. So crucially, we stay green, which is going to be vital for these guys, and they'll be happy with it as Neil Pearson gives the wall a bit of a rub. Just caught the end of that one, and that's really, really lost him momentum. Barry Neal's got a huge run on him coming down the main straight here.
Yeah, I believe Neil Pearson actually likes this track, so it'll be a good battle between these two out front. They've got a second and a half over third place man Ryan Jones, a new recruit for DPR in the nice bright yellow car.
That's it, just recently signing for DPR, and it's strange to see him in different paint colours and in team colours as well. It's been a long time since we saw Ryan Jones in a team, so he is going to be really wanting to work well in that group, and he's got Stevie Dubb not too far behind him with Dave Douglas there. And you've got to say, it's another strong signing for DPR. We know that Ryan Jones is quick, and with that little bit of coaching I'm sure he'll be getting from DPR, it's just going to make him that little bit quicker as well.
Yeah, it definitely will be. And again, we see DPR growing in size as the season goes on. So next season in 2024, it's going to be a big lineup for DPR.
That's it. Title sponsors of the series, possibly in 2028, the DPR series. No, it's good to see some teams working out. Another team that has got some good recruits in it at the moment is this one, SRM, and we're seeing them battle it out on track. All three of those cars are in the playoffs at the moment. Lachlan leading the SRM train at the moment with Maddie Ray and Ruben Phelps just behind him. They have had a fantastic season so far, been very consistent. Victories not always coming their way, just Ruben Phelps taking a win for that team. But they have been consistently up there and scoring points, and that's been crucial for their championship so far.
Yeah, definitely. And it's good to see the three of them in the playoff too, in chance for the actual our overall championship.
It'll be good to see that one a little bit further ahead. Dave Douglas has just made a move on Ryan Jones and moved him up into third position. Another one of those playoff drivers there, Dave Douglas in the casting couch entry. A little bit different to how we're used to seeing it, with the pink accents on there tonight. And that's going to hopefully be helping his run for this playoff season. And a very nice looking car as well, the casting couch of Dave Douglas, number 10 there. Daniel Heddershide as well, just getting up ahead of Ryan Jones too, another driver in the playoffs. He is going to be hoping to have a good run for Natari. It's been a fairly quietly year for that team, but they have got some cars in the playoffs, of course, with Heddershide and Joshua Carroll Walden. So that will be useful indeed. And of course, the satellite team, Black Arrows, Norman Clark, he is the other driver in the playoffs. Number 10 at the moment. Snuck through there on points after a great recovery at Daytona.
Yes. Daytona. Mate, I've been downstairs and I've grabbed this bloke by the scruff of the neck and pulled him up into the booth. Team owner and a pilot of, forgive me, I've forgotten your number, Kobe. So, mate, welcome to the booth. Not the way you would have liked to join us here in the booth tonight, but nevertheless, we've been able to get you up here and have a little bit of a chat.
I wasn't feeling it tonight, so I just making a long I didn't want to get in the way of any of the playoff players, so I'm like, better off to exit out and just sit back and watch the broadcast.
Listen to Carl, I, and Matt jibber jabber on about the racing, mate. It's been a pretty reasonable season. Unfortunately for you and Luke Crum, you didn't make the playoffs, but you got to be happy with Joy in the playoffs there.
Yeah, well, he got in with a win, but he's also, I guarantee you, we got him in points anyway. But yeah, I haven't had the best season this year. And even just to finish outside the bubble, I'm pretty happy with that. So I've got my priorities next year. I'm going to sort my shit out, and we're going to go next year. We're going to go hard.
Remaining with the Toyota, mate?
Of course.
Well, I know that will make one person happy up here in the booth. Carl, you'll be happy with that one?
Like, always the winning car. It's the one that. But you've got to keep with the car that nobody else likes, because it makes it even more special. It's the underdog story that we like.
But car, it's a sexy car, isn't it?
It is.
It is. It's the best looking car out of the whole field.
So much better than those old-fashioned Chevys and Fords. That's for sure.
Yes. I personally, I don't like the Chevrolet. I think they're trying to look too European right now.
Yeah, well, we all have our opinions on what cars what. But, mate, look, I guess you'll go back and do some spotting and some talking to Joy and get him through this and get him up towards the front.
Yeah. Oh, JCW, what have you done?
Looks like he's just lost it. Got loose on him again.
I wish I'd got a yellow when I got loose.
So it's a bit earlier than the caution came out, so he's had a moment just coming out of turn 3 and 4, I think it was. And he's had a bit of a moment down at the front straight, down the back straight, and then he's gone into the front straight. The tyres must have been just a little bit too hot, and it's gone around on him again, and he's heavily gone down into the inside wall. That is not how you want to start off your playoffs. And that is not good for the 35 of JCW tonight. Yeah,
that was a little bit like yours, Kobe. But as you said, you never got the benefit of a caution come out. So that car will be a little bit heavily damaged on the front.
Well, the lure is that you get into a rhythm, and it's like, oh, this car feels good. This car feels good. So you start pushing it, and all of a sudden it steps out from you, and it's like, oh, I'm in unfamiliar territory. And I guarantee that's what's happening to JCW right now. He's like, oh, this car feels good. This car feels good. I'm going to start pushing. And he's found himself in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. So, Kobe, while we got you here, how many laps are we looking at for those tyres to get up to into operation temperature? We've seen early on that first lap someone get loose and turn around and bring two other cars into it. How many laps are you getting now out of those tyres before you can really start to push?
Well, you've asked me for something I'm not really expertised in, but for me personally, I feel you've got about 5 laps of, oh, this car feels loose, and then it comes into its own. And then, like I said before, you get to learn the car, and all of a sudden the car becomes different. And all of a sudden, you don't have them rears where you thought you had it before. So I think it's like a 5, 10, 15. Like, I don't know, the car goes through different periods.
Yep. All right, mate. Well, thanks for joining us up here in the booth. We'll let you get back to your teammates and get talking in their ear. But let's hope next week you have a better race than you have had tonight.
Well, where are we going?
I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. Carl? Matt?
Next week is Kansas.
Kansas. You like that joint?
Yeah. I like the 1.5 miles. I do.
Oh, all right, mate.
Luke.
Well, thanks again. Yeah, thanks for joining us, mate. And we'll let you get back to your team. And good luck to the rest of the team.
Yeah, we'll be pushing Joe home for the win.
All right, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, there's one person that's retired for the night, Kobe, and it looks like both Phil Otto's back out there, so he's been able to get that car repaired and get back out, and only 3 laps down, so that's good news for him.
Yeah, Christopher Tomlin as well. He took a heavy spill into the wall in the 2-1-2. He's managed to get back out on track, but there is some fairly hefty damage down at the side of that car at the moment. Hopefully, aero is not a huge dependence here, but hopefully the suspension's being knocked back into the right position. It almost looks like it's standing up on 3 wheels when I was looking at it before, because the way the front splitters sort of bent so high up. But hopefully that will be able to get back working. You can get some points on the board. Currently sitting down 8 laps off the lead at the moment. JCW's back out there as well. He's 1 lap off the lead. Meanwhile, up the front, well, it's an orange car working its way up there. It's Mr. Andrew Dyson. Didn't have the best qualifying, but in the race, the rhythm started kicking in, and he's managed to work his way up to the front. First time this week he's been at the front. You've got to say he's not been having a stellar week. He's been up battling, but not getting himself up into the winning position. So we'll see if that can change tonight, and he can get the victory done for himself here tonight. He's sitting up there with Barry Neal on his outside, Neil Pearson, Daniel Heddershide behind him, Ruben Phelps working his way up through the field nicely, as well as Dave Douglas behind them. So plenty of action here to come as the pace car pulls in, and we're about to go back to green flag racing here at Darlington.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting start. DPR and SRM on that inside line, and it's really going to be on from here on then out. Dyson gets a great start and jumps straight back up onto that high line. Neil Pearson's stayed on that low line through that first part of turn 1 and been able to get clear of Barry Neal, so he's now back up on the high line, and we've got DPR 1 and 2. So that was a great start by those cars, Carl.
Yeah, they've also been down pit lane, so they've all come down pit lane again, swap a set of tyres on after that caution, but that means everybody has now got some adjustments in their cars as well. So everybody is going to be probably a little bit happier with how their car's feeling, and they'll be getting hard to work. But sometimes we have seen people, they do a tweak on the car, it just doesn't feel right. So we'll have to see how that pans out as all into the wall goes. One of the Cobalt cars just in front of Ryan Jones. It's Sheridan just having a bit of a moment, manages to catch it up, and Jones is just pulled in behind there. Ryan Jones dropping down a few positions after the pit stops. Meanwhile, up the front, Pearson and Dyson are starting to get a little bit racy. Neil Pearson just looking to try and run down the inside of Dyson, and these two are going to be racing hard with each other because they have been having a fantastic season so far, taking out most of the victories this year. But Dyson's had the advantage. If Pearson can absolutely do it here tonight, as he does, as Dyson does collect the wall, Pearson uses that to stooch his way through. If Pearson can take the early advantage, that will be great for him as Daniel Heddershide goes 3 wide into the corner. Oh, they're going to make it through. They are just about going to make it through. 3 wide at Darlington, and we don't have a caution. There's not often you can say that.
No, definitely not. Whenever you see 3 wide here, you normally expect a caution at the end of it, and a very good driving by those 3 guys there. And Pearson's now checked out, so I'm just wondering if Dyson's got some damage to that car.
Yeah, it looked like he just sort of hung on the wall, so hopefully there won't be any damage on there, but it might have just taking the momentum off, and he just has to have a bit of a reset as he gets so close to the wall again. There would not even be room for a cigarette paper between the car and the wall there, but it just had that momentum snuck away, and now Pearson's flying ahead, as you said, 1.5 seconds ahead at the moment, and he is streaking away. And this is going to be crucial. If Pearson can assert his dominance in the early stages, that's going to really help his momentum, and also, just give him that little bit of a psychological boost as well over Dyson.
Yeah, it's always good to get the first win of the playoffs. It really does boost your confidence for the rest the other 9 races in the playoff, and it kind of sort of puts, as you said, Carl, a little bit in the other driver's head, especially if you can win and be dominant at it.
Yeah, these things can really help out. We're watching a battle down here between Give me my everything is playing up. Luke Crumb there. Sorry, everything is playing up on my end at the moment, and I have very few images to work off of. But some good battles going on throughout the track. A little bit further up, Daniel Hederscheid has managed to get past Barry Neal as well, moving himself up. And yeah, plenty of action here tonight. There's a lot of people making some moves and a lot of defensive driving going on as well. You can see Dyson is really defending hard against Daniel Hederscheid at the moment. And he's not really got the pace, you've got to say. Maybe he's gone the wrong way with that setup.
Yeah, we may see what has happened in the past where we've seen Dyson go one way and Pearson go another way, and one of them's got it wrong and one's got it right, and absolutely driven away with the race. And like you said, Carl, it may have happened tonight.
Daniel Hederscheid, the 035, moving his way up into P2 there, getting himself ahead of Dyson. Now he's got to try and close that gap to Neil Pearson, 2 and a bit seconds to close down, and that is not an insignificant time. A little bit further down, there's a battle going on between Lachlan Urquio and Philip Worley. They're side by side, there's contact! Heavy contact into the wall for Urquio in the 42. Contact with himself and Philip Worley. Let's see if we can catch the replay of that one. So, plenty of action happening here, and I think Urquio's gotten away relatively unscathed with that one. But it was very, very, it was fairly hefty contact. You see Ryan Jones going down underneath him. Worley decides to do the same through the corner, and then just going to make a little bit of side-on-side contact there. Worley just moving up a tiny little bit. It's Darlington. You don't have much room to begin with. And then there's just the tiniest little nudge. And bang, Urquio goes up, makes heavy contact in the wall. But luckily, it's pretty square on against the wall. So hopefully that won't be too much damage for that car. But he's starting to drop back a fair few positions now as through goes Luke Crumb, Alexander Sheridan, Matty Ray. So he's getting absolutely swamped at the moment. Riley Curtis making the move as well. As Urquio drops down a little bit, moves down into 15th position. He's dropped down behind
JCW.
Yeah, JCW, who is a lap down, remember. So JCW's 3 laps down now, so he's got a lot of work to do from here. So it's going to be a tough night for some of those boys. And got to say, like, looks like there may be a bit of damage on that 42, just struggling to get back into this race. Still a long way to go, 121 laps in the race remaining. So plenty can happen, plenty can change in that time. Seeing the battle right here of Dyson, Neal, Williams, and Douglas. These guys really keeping themselves close together on track at the moment and fighting hard.
Yeah, it's going to be a long old night for those for JCW and Urquio. They definitely want to try and get back up into that lead pack because we got, I think it's 3 races and then we lose 2 out of the chase. So they definitely don't want to be in those bottom 2 spots at the end of either the 2 or the 3 races. I just can't remember, and I can't put my hands on the paperwork for the chase, how it's going to work.
Yeah, that's it. It's all important to get those early wins and get some good results in the early stages of the chase, because you start to get dropping out and you do not want to be in those positions, because when you are, well, it's going to make your life a lot harder for sure. So, racing-wise, it's Neil Pearson in the lead. Daniel Hederscheid trying to close the gap. He is closing the gap a little bit. He's managed to bring it down to 2 seconds now. It was about 2.3 seconds. So, slowly closing the gap, and they've built up a huge lead over Andrew Dyson. So they've managed to build up a nice gap at the moment. Stevie Dubb looking to make a move on Barry Neal now. As goes down the inside, looks to make the move in the Mean Green Machine. Just can't quite get it done at the moment.
Just keeping an eye on JCW back there, Carl, and he's getting loose every second or third lap. He's having a little bit of a moment. So definitely I'll keep an eye on that, because that may see him come unstuck again.
Yeah, you've got to be. You don't want a car that's just snapping on you, especially here at Darlington. This new generation, this car, it's very tricky when it gets snappy. And you see Matty Ray just having a little moment as well there, and he manages just to save it. Quick hands on Matty Ray there, just keeping the car in the right position. So easy to have these cars snap on you and to just lose it. A little bit further up the field, Dave Douglas is making a move on Barry Neal. Stevie Dubb getting past just a little bit before, and Neil starting to drop off a little bit right here. And I wonder if some of these guys have just been in tyre saving, tyre conservation modes as well. And I wonder if that's why we're seeing a bit of a gap appearing. Because the field's getting a bit spread out now. There's quite a few people in different spots throughout the field. But they are sort of...
JCW's loose out of turn 4. He's on the low line. Oh, Norman Clark. Very lucky to miss him there.
Oh, that was sketchy, and everybody else coming up on him. And no caution flag, of course, so nobody lifting, nobody sort of getting out of it, because you cannot afford to lose too much time. JCW very lucky there. Norman Clark even luckier, you've got to say, because that could have been race over for him.
Yeah, that was the first part, and he just tries to correct it here, but again, it's just snapped on him, and he's done so well to keep it off the wall. But Norman Clark was so lucky not to clean him up there. And same with I think it was Christopher Tomlin that coming through in the background, and the guys taking. You can see how close from those shots there, how fast they closed on JCW.
Yeah, really, really fast closing speeds in a situation like that. Urquio's come down the lane, and I wonder if he's getting some repairs done, because he was just struggling with that car. He's decided to take the pain early, come in, get those repairs, get some fresh boots on that thing, and then get it back out into the race. We'll keep an eye on that one as it unfolds. Meanwhile, Neil Pearson up at the front, 3.5 second lead over Daniel Hederscheid at the moment. He is running away with it, and well, Neil Pearson loves this place, and it's showing at the moment.
It definitely is. He's definitely driven away with his race at the moment. But all it's going to take is another caution, and we'll see everyone back down pit lane. And JCW, oh!
And that is a huge moment. JCW's lost it in front of Neil Pearson, the leader there, and contact between the two. And that's got to be night over for Neil Pearson as well. That's huge damage to the front of the 62. No fault of his own there. Just driving along. JCW's lost it coming out of the corner. And Neil Pearson's just gone into the back of him. Really nothing either of them could do in that situation.
Oh, Carl, I believe I'm having deja vu, because it was something like this last year that seen Pearson out of the playoffs.
That is a big moment there. That could be the deciding factor in this season. And yeah, look, it just lost it coming up there. And look, nothing you can do in that situation. The car's gone down. Neil Pearson sort of tried to go underneath him. JCW's done the right thing, holding the brakes. Neil Pearson just didn't have the room to move down. And well, that's heavy damage to that DPR car after having such a lead. And, well, it all goes away in a snap of the fingers. And that's what we were talking about. Anything can happen in a situation like this. And, well, it has just happened on lap 112. Sorry, lap 48 even. 112 to go.
You can see there from those onboard shots from Matt was getting after the impact. You can see the right-hand guard flapping around and the bonnet really flapping. So that is heavy damage.
Yeah, that car will be needing some serious repairs to get back out on track. And look, it's not a fun situation to be in at all. And you just be sitting there gutted at the moment for sure. So everybody comes down the lane and everybody gets some fresh boots, some fresh fuel put in, and the race is going to have a bit of a reset after that. And sure, a couple of drivers are going to need a little bit of a reset too, just taking a bit of a deep breath there and getting themselves back out into this race. It's going to be yeah, I imagine a couple of those drivers are going to be fairly heated.
Yeah, well, we've been able to grab Neil Pearson, the pilot 62 car. Mate, welcome to the booth. Bit of a deja vu from last season with the playoffs again.
Yeah, it is a bit. Yeah, it's definitely not ideal to start off the playoffs. I did a lot of work to get good, and I mean, to have that happen, I mean, it's the second caution he's brought out this race, and the first one looked really sus. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, well, mate, will you be able to get the car repaired and get back out on the track to get a few more points, or is the car done?
I don't know. I've got 6 minutes of required and then 5 minutes of optional, so I'm just going to take them all and see how it is.
Yeah, all right, mate. Well, let's hope you can get out there and get some points, and the last season doesn't come back to repeat itself this year for you, because I do remember that you were very quick last year in the playoffs, and along with your teammate Dyson. So good luck for the rest of the night, mate, and unlucky to see you in the same predicament. And I personally wish you all the best for the rest of the playoffs.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, hopefully Bristol and Kansas. I mean, I had a really good run earlier on at Kansas, and I love Bristol, so I've always been fast there. So hopefully I can get back to the front and go.
All right, mate. Hard luck, and we'll see you next week at Kansas.
Right, too easy.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Keep our fingers crossed that hopefully it's not race over for Neil Pearson and can get back out on track at least and get some points scored. And you never know in motorsport, the strangest things can happen sometimes, and could even be talking to him at the end, but I very much doubt that's going to happen. But still, would be nice.
Yeah, it'd be good. And as I said, just let's hope it doesn't. Last year doesn't repeat itself this year for him.
Yeah, look, it was a really hard start to the chase in the playoffs last season as well, and it's almost like history repeating itself there. That was a really, really painful moment, and I'm just gonna say it is a heartbreak there. And look, if anyone can bounce back, it's going to be Neil Pearson. He is he's got the second most victories of the year under his belt. So I am sure he can get back into that. But it's changed things up the front. Barry Neal, Brian Jones now up the front of the pack, and they are going to get back to racing as the sun sets here at Darlington. The lady in black has bitten a few times tonight. Will it bite again? We'll find out as we get back to green flag racing for the ANZCAR Cup.
Yeah, definitely. And we see there Dyson try and give contact between Schultz and Hederscheider. And I was just going to say, Dyson giving Schultz a bit of a push there off the start. Unfortunately, it's dropped Joy down a couple of spots, but now he's linked up with his teammate Luke Crumb, so he's in good company there.
Yeah, it's almost the stage at the moment. You just got to take a bit of a breath and just try and keep your nose clean, because there's been a couple of early incidents here which gets you out of your rhythm, and that could really affect some of these drivers, especially the playoff drivers, the chase drivers. They're not going to be wanting to take as many risks as...
Sorry, mate. Fully Wally into the wall again. So some of these guys, I think, have really made a mistake with these setups, or they're just not getting used to these cars and how quick they change.
Yeah, and cold tyres are not helping as well. That's the other thing. These tyres take a good few laps to get up to temperature. Who was that getting up into the wall? I couldn't quite see who that was, as Douglas gets very loose on the exit as well. Some real big moments on these restarts, and it looks like the tyres are just not wanting to come up to temperature straight away, and the early couple of laps are really, really perilous.
Yeah, definitely. And with the sun going down too, Carl, the temperature will be coming out of the track slowly, but I mean to say, with the sun on the track, it will help with bringing the tyres back up to temp quicker. So yeah, just a couple of these guys starting to get caught out by as you said, the cold tyres. But this place does have your reputation of biting people when they least expect it.
Oh, it does. It's one of those tracks that will. It's one of those tracks where you have to have the utmost respect for it at all times. You cannot take your eye off the ball for a moment. As Kobe Jordan was saying earlier, he wasn't feeling that great for this race, and he struggled in the early stages and decided to pull the pin very early, as we see the battle going on there between Wally and Crumb, and really close stuff going on. Meanwhile, up the front, there's a battle going on between Hederscheid and Neil, as Daniel Hederscheid's got the runner on the low line going underneath Barry Neil at the moment, launching himself forwards. Andrew Dyson looking to follow. Here they come up to the lead of the race. Daniel Hederscheid takes the lead of the race. Dyson keeps glued to him. Remember, Hederscheid was building up a gap over Dyson before that last incident. Although he wasn't able to catch Pearson, he was building a gap. So I think this time Dyson's going to try and keep glued to Hederscheid so he doesn't run away. But the caution flag is back out.
There it is, just in the background there of...
Oh, and it is the 35 involved again, this time making contact with the 308. And looks like just gone down a little bit. Caught the back of the 308, and around goes Bowen, and heavy damage there. We'll take a look at that later. But Phil Otto was in an unfortunate position. He got caught heavily in that one, unfortunately, not through his own doing. Norman Clark, the man, Norman Clark, the cat tonight, has survived another moment. Lachlan Urquhart getting a bit of a hit there as well. Norman Clark has got 9 lives tonight, and I think he's used all of them so far.
Yeah, Lockie again, getting involved, nowhere to go.
And Phil Otto just really got caught in that, and that's the end of Phil's night. And got a feel for Otto there. He's been trying to keep himself clean at the back of the pack. He's got caught up in a couple of moments. And again, one of those moments where he gets absolutely caught up in it. And yeah, that was a nasty, nasty spill for the number one. And hopefully Phil got his hands off wheels in time for that one, because that could be a painful, painful smack.
Yeah, especially if he's running direct drive. The old CSL would be okay, but yeah, if you're running a direct drive and you take a hit like that, that can break thumbs, I'd say.
Never a fun situation to be in, and well, as we found out in Full Metal Motorsport over the weekend, if you don't take your hands off the wheel quick enough, you can really pay for it. Daniel Ricciardo finding that out in the Netherlands. And virtual motorsport, it can bite you as well sometimes, and look, that's always the little risk that you have to take, because it's always a painful thing, and when you get sort of surprised like that, it is even worse. Few cars coming down the lane for a couple of repairs, but the majority sticking out there this time. Everybody looking to stay out there, and you've got to say Dyson looks a bit happier in this run. Looks like his car's a little bit more settled. Maybe he's had a bit of information from his teammate and just got that car feeling a little bit better.
Yeah, I'd say Pearson would have been straight back down to the race channel and having a talk with Dyson. And on that last stop, Dyson's probably made a few little finer changes, but that thing has definitely got some more speed back into it.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get... he definitely looked a little bit more settled this time round. It was looking pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. As you're saying, Carl, before about driving this track, I know that every chance I get, I avoid it. I leave the car on the trailer and, yeah, thanks for coming. Let's go have a little drink.
Now, the question is, would you rather have 200 laps around Darlington or 4 laps around the Nordschleife?
4 laps.
I personally thought you were going to go for the third option, just getting yourself a shotgun.
No, it's yeah. This place, as we've said right from the word get go, it is really a nasty track if you lose concentration, and you're not aware 100%. To race here, people say 160 laps. It's not a long way, but it's 160 laps of total concentration.
It is a tricky track, and it's one of the things. It's one of those ovals that really demands the utmost respect. Oval racing, it's when people sort of look at it and go, "Oh yeah, that's pretty easy." Until you drive it, it does mean you got to really understand how it works, because they are not the easiest things to get around. And Darlington,
I was just going to say, Carl, I'd rather do 300 laps around Martinsville.
yeah, that says a lot, doesn't it? Really, but yeah, it's sort of close to like Monaco or someplace like that, where you just need the utmost concentration. You've got to take the car to the wall and be absolutely millimeter perfect, lap after lap after lap. It is not the easiest thing for sure. So, green flag's going to come out again. 97 laps remaining, and we are going back to racing here at Darlington. And away goes Daniel Hendershide, getting the lead early, getting a nice restart there in the restart zone. Up front, Stevie Dubb going to make a move on. Sorry, Dave Douglas making the move on Stevie Dubb, making his way up the field early there. Forgive me, my trading paint is not working properly tonight, so I've been having to look at things about 7 times to get the right car. Riley Curtis making a nice move as well up through the field too. So plenty of action on the restart there. Too wide for a couple of moments, but they are starting to spread out a little bit. And I think everybody just needs to take a breath and get settled in now for a run.
Yeah, if everyone just settles down and looks for the end, we'll see some great racing. Everyone's still just that little bit keen to get to the front. This is another secret here. Just bide your time. Let the positions come to you until you get to that second half of the race, and then you can really try and have a push.
Well, to finish a race, first you've got to finish. That's the old motto, isn't it? And you've got to see it tonight. I think it's going to be really crucial to get the car to the end. If you can have a clean car on the final few laps here tonight, you could be in for a real opportunity. As we see the racing on track going on behind them, behind the leaders, Dave Douglas and Stevie Dubb having a great battle. Ruben Phelps there now as well. Watch out for the Flying Kiwi, Ruben Phelps. He's one of those drivers that you sort of won't notice until the end, and then he'll be right up there battling for the lead.
Yeah, definitely. But all those SRM cars, unfortunately, Lockie's had a terrible night. They tend to sit back, and we've seen it throughout the season. Matty Ray in the 83 car just sit back, and he has been starting down the back, but by the end of the race, he's normally in that top 10.
There's a reason Stuart Brown christened him Mr. Sheen, because he likes to keep it clean. As Daniel Hendershide has a moment out of the corner through the long wide span and gets a bit loose, and that's giving Dyson the opportunity to get down the inside in the 41, as they are side by side at the moment, coming through the final set of corners onto the start finish straight, still side by side. Dyson on the inside, Hendershide on the outside, battling it out to the corner, and they are still racing hard. Dyson being squeezed down. Hendershide gets loose and makes contact with Dyson. They've crashed up at the front. It has been a dramatic evening for the leaders.
Really, it's been a dramatic night for all the playoff guys. When you look back at it, just about every accident has involved the playoff car.
It has been a very rough evening for these guys. Hendershide just getting a little bit loose as he was running that high line. Just the back end stepped out on him a tiny bit, and you see there just collects the rear of Dyson and heavily into the wall. Hendershide got out relatively unscathed. Dyson, he took a big whack to the wall, took the nose heavily into the wall. It's been a very rough start for DPR and Atari, you've got to say, in this chase.
Yeah, it's definitely not a night that DPR would want to remember. And that sees also the 2022 champion with a heavily damaged car. I'm sorry about that. I had to remember what year we were in.
Yeah, always the trouble. They blur together in the end. But that was heavy damage, and it's mandatory damage as well to Dyson. He's got to come in for some mandatory repairs. Heavy damage on the front of that car, and that's going to lose him at least a lap or two. Oh, this has been a rough start tonight. And, well, we were talking about Quio sort of not giving up. We saw him having a big moment, dropping down the field, needing to get repairs done. And he's got it back out on track now. He's just got a lap back, so he could still be in with a shot of getting some good points tonight with the drama for some of the other chase drivers.
Yeah, a bit of an up and down night for him, and unfortunately, it's more of a down night. But with the cautions that we are having, we may see him back on the lead lap very shortly. At the moment, Dyson has just gone down a lap. So we, as you said, Carl, I think we may see him three or four laps down by the time he gets those repairs done.
Yeah, it's going to be a lengthy one, unfortunately. The 62 is back out on track, though. So Neil Pearson has managed to get that car resurrected and found himself a car romancer to revive that thing, because I think he needed every help he could get from the Dark Spirits to get that car back out on track. But it is back out on track. 16 laps down, but that could still be a fairly decent finish tonight with the attrition that we've seen and also the damage to some other of his chase compatriots.
Definitely. I'm just trying to check and see if we have actually lost JCW. He's still in pit lane trying to get that car repaired. So at the moment, the only retirements we've got is Kobe Jordan and Phil Otto.
Yeah, there's been a lot of. Well, it's a good night if you're into car parts. You could make a killing here tonight, I reckon, if you were selling parts to these cars, because it has been a pretty dicey race so far. Hopefully, though, we are going to get a nice long green period. I know I've said that with every caution, but it has been a. Hopefully, we're going to start to see some green flag racing now, and. Well, hopefully we get a nice long green period and lots of racing on track that makes up for some of these early incidents, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. But now we see Stevie Dub up there on that front row for the restart. So it's going to be interesting. Another interesting restart. We still got some hard hitters in this field. As we said, DPR have now got three cars back out running, while Dyson's still in getting some repairs.
The other thing to watch out for is penalties. That's going to be a big thing coming as well. There are going to be a few people that are getting close to drive-through penalties with some of these big incidents too. And I'll keep an eye on that as it goes on. But there are a couple of people getting close to their limit now. And we could see some drivers taken out of this race through, just through contact to the wall or another incident or another crash. So, green flag is about to come out. It's Daniel Hederscheid in the lead. Stevie Dub on his outside. The mean green machine of Stevie Dub racing the Kiwi. Daniel Hederscheid as they come to the line. And who is going to get this one right? Hederscheid had a really good restart last time, and he gets another good restart this time. Gets away nicely up into the lead. Dave Douglas looking to make his way up there with Ruben Phelps, Barry Neal, Riley Curtis, Matty Ray, Philip Wally, Norman Clark, and Alexander Sheridan. That's our top 10 at the moment. But anything could happen, and it has happened so far in this race.
Yeah, and we can see in the background there that orange car of Dyson back out. So he's been able to get that car repaired and only gone 3 laps down.
He's managed to get some resurrections done on that car because it needed it. And look, only 3 laps, that's not too bad. But I imagine he's still got damage in the car. So he's probably got the most important repairs done, like getting the wheel reattached and getting the super glue on there to stop it from falling off for a lap or two. But it's going to be a little bit slower than it was before, and definitely not handling as well as it was in the early stages. I think Barry Neal just gave the wall a big clip there, and that's dropped him off a little bit. Darlington is proving just that too tricky tonight. It is really, really being one of those tracks that's catching these guys out.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to put the mocker on him, but the gentleman racer, Norman Clark, up in the tent, he's had some lucky escapes, near misses, as you said, Carl. So let's hope our
up to the front, because we've got a race for the lead happening between Heddershide and Stevie Dubb. We'll get back to Norman Clark in a moment, but Stevie Dubb putting all the pressure he can on Heddershide. Heddershide clipped the wall, and Stevie Dubb was really, really getting close, and Heddershide's car is not looking as good as it did before. That damage must be hurting it a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely would be. Again, but they've in fourth spot there, the quiet man, another Kiwi, Ruben Phelps, just sitting back there, letting these guys do all their damage. He's been able to keep it off the wall so far tonight. So let's hope I haven't jinxed him. And if I do, I'm running for the hills.
Yeah, run fast, Mark, run fast. Dave Douglas sitting in third as well. He's another one of those drivers in the chase, or in the playoffs, I should say, and really having a quiet night so far, but keep himself right up at the front. As we see Oakweo battling his way through, definitely got some good pace in the car still. So he's got some repairs done. He's managed to get that car back up to pace, and that's good news for him because he's racing with Andrew Dyson at the moment. So those two are on the same lap and they are racing each other. They're also racing each other for the lucky dog spot. So expect to see those two racing as hard as anybody else out here for that position, because it could be crucial if we get another caution.
Yeah, definitely. And both of them will want that lucky dog spot. So when they get closer together, it's going to be on.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, it is on at the front of the field. Heddershide is defending hard because Stevie Dubb is putting him under all kinds of pressure at the moment. Stevie Dubb, the veteran of ANZCAR, is really putting the screws to him and doing what he can to fly the flag for DPR tonight. It's not been the best night so far for the team, but if he can get some honour back, he is going to be happy to do it. Racing very hard for the lead. Heddershide doing all he can to defend. And got to say, that car, the Natari, is not looking as fast as it did at the start of the race, but he is still able to place it where he wants to. The thing that could really hurt him is in a long green flag run. If there is damage, that can sometimes mean that the tyres don't wear as evenly as they did before, and you sometimes find yourself in a position where the car becomes much trickier in the long runs. So are we going to see that happen in this race?
Yeah, definitely. Just interesting to note though, should the race then right now, we'd have Daniel Heddershide out the front with Dave Douglas second and Ruben Phelps third. So they would be loving this race at the moment, heading into week 2 of the playoffs.
Yeah, Dave's just sat there rubbing his hands together with glee, just going, yeah, all the chaos, I'm happy for this, just none of it come my way. As we look through the field, but the lead is currently really close from Daniel Heddershide down to Philip Worley. They are really quite close together, just about a second, 1.7 of a second covering those guys. Ryan Jones has fallen off a little bit in 5th, the 11, sitting down there and just biding his time at the moment. Not any damage that I can see on the number 11, so Jonesy just keeping the car in there and maybe just trying to save a little bit for the latter half if we do get a long green run period.
Yeah, he has touched the wall once or twice, but not very heavily, not as heavy as some of these other guys, just a very slight touch. So it'd be interesting to see if he's just gone to save mode a little bit.
Well, the big thing, of course, is we've just clicked over half race distance, and it's been an eventful race so far, but we've still got another half of it to go, Mark. So all the chaos we seen in the first half, what on earth can we see in the second half of this race?
Yeah. I think we've got the nerves out of the road and the anger management now come into it. and just everyone settling down to really try and put a long green stint together. As we can see, these front 8 cars just running nose to tail, behaving themselves. Really just settling in now to have a good race.
Yeah, they're all seeing what they can do. And just behind this front group, you can see the red DPR Neil Pearson's back out on track and definitely got the pace in there still, because even in that heavily damaged, heavily repaired car, I think basically they went out to the parking lot, found a car that looked like it, sprayed it up quickly and got it back out on track. It had that much damage in it originally. He's managed to get back out on track and he's keeping pace with the leaders. So that just shows just how much pace he had tonight. And you could just hear we're devastated when he was talking, because he's put a lot of practice into this race. So I'm sure he just wants to see what he could do and just show everybody that, look, you know, if I didn't get taken out, I absolutely had the pace here tonight to take the victory. As you can see, one of the co-op cars there just moving down out the way, just letting the leaders pass and being very polite there.
Yeah. I can tell you also, Carl, that JCW has got that car, that Ford Mustang, repaired and back out on track, but it is definitely not tracking right. So it's a very wounded car, as you can see on the front of the nose.
Yeah, one of the many. Yeah, Shane Bowen is another one of those drivers that's wheeling around a very heavily damaged car. Up at the front, there's a battle for the lead again. Hedershide and Williams really fighting hard. Hedershide clicks the wall. Stevie Dub in the 98 tries to go down the inside, but passing is not the easiest thing to do here at Darlington, and he just can't quite make it work this time. Hedershide, though, clipping the wall again. That's going to add to that damage, add to the car feeling a little bit rubbish, and also take away a bit of that momentum. Stevie Dub getting so close to the wall there as well.
And we see JCW do the right thing, move down on the low line to give these leaders a clear run of the track. Dave Douglas, big moment there for Dave.
Yeah, he took that inside line, took it really tight, and it looked like it just got a little bit too hot, just got a little bit out of control. He saved the snap, but he's lost a lot of speed in that one, and that's really dropped him back. Stevie Dub going for the move again as he goes down the inside, the 98 looking to make the move. Daniel Hedershide getting so close again. They rub doors a little bit. They're rubbing paint through the corner. Hedershide putting as much as he can, leaning on the 98. The 98 leaning on him as well as they go across the line. Stevie Dub trying to get the lead. There was just 8 millionths of a second between those two cars. There's contact again. They're keeping themselves close. Ruben Phelps is right behind now. Phelps looks to make the move. He can't do it because Stevie Dub has got it into the lead. Ruben Phelps now battling hard with Dave Douglas. They are really fighting hard up at the front again.
Yeah, definitely, and we could see where Steve wanted to be, and again some great driving from both these drivers, touching doors and adjusting that little spotter mirror on the left hand side. But some great racing, some great door-to-door, and this is what we've come to expect from these guys. They're some of the best in Australia and New Zealand out here on track tonight.
Two Kiwis taking it to each other now. Ruben Phelps looking to make the move on Daniel Hedershide. Phelps gets a good run. They get into contact again. A little bit of door rubbing once more. Bit heavier this time round. Heavily into the wall goes Hedershide as they make contact and they survive it. But that was some heavy impacts there.
Sorry, mate. The race radio was just putting up. Something happened between Lockie and someone. I'll just go see if I can see it.
Yeah, we'll jump back to this.
He's close.
This is the thing we want to look at the moment. You just see that contact there, heavy into the wall goes Hedershide, and it just really snapped, and that really brought around a lot of change there, and that really shook things up at the front and has really changed things to the lead of the race, because Stevie Dub has gotten a little bit of a lead. Neil Pearson, though, he's just got himself back a lap. We see Lachlan Apker coming down the lane, and I wonder if that was for repairs or if it was for a drive-through for Lockie. Yeah, it was for a drive-through. So
That group just closed up on JCW so quickly.
Oh, Dyson's gone avoiding action and collected Urquio from that angle, it looks like. Oh, it's been a rough night for them, but we're going to jump up to the front again because that's where the action's happening. Stevie Dub, Dave Douglas really fighting hard on the track now as things have changed for the leaders. It's Stevie Dub, Dave Douglas and Barry Neal now for this race. Ruben Phelps and Philip Wally, Ryan Jones. Daniel Heddershide's dropped back into 8th and looks like that car is not quite working how he needs it to at the moment.
There's heavy damage on the right front of Heddershide's car, and Matty Ray has got the run all over him. He's got the speed, so some heavy damage there, and that will be affecting that car.
See that Matty Ray working his way through, and that's a move for position, but also on competitors in the playoffs as well. Matty Ray is going to be moving himself up a little bit safer in those playoffs, and that's good news for the SRM team. Meanwhile, up the front, Stevie Dub and Dave Douglas, two big-time veterans in the series, as Stevie Dub makes contact with the wall, loses that momentum. Dave was right behind him there. He had to get on the brakes. He just saved it. Gets underneath, and the number 10 moves his way up, and Dave Douglas gets himself into the lead. The number 10 is up 10 positions and leading this race. Gotta say, these cars look like they're getting pretty perilous to drive, and they're looking like their tyres maybe just getting to that sort of just to that sort of point where they're not quite as good as they were at the start of this race, Mark.
Yeah, some sparks there flying out from Barry Neal's car. I'm just going to say they're coming up to, Dave Douglas and Stevie Dub have just clicked over 48 laps in this stint, so on this set of tyres. So they will be starting to feel very second-hand at the moment.
Yeah, definitely not what you want in a race car, is tyres that are just falling off the cliff. And I wonder if that's happened to Stevie Dub, because look at him just plummeting down the order. And Ryan Jones is now working his way up the field. Remember, Jonesy was just he wasn't really pushing too hard. He was keeping it very quiet, same as Matty Ray. And I wonder if it's coming back to them now, because the tyres have dropped off this lead pack. And now those people that have been saving a little bit are now coming back to them.
Oh, Philip Wally.
Wally into the wall.
These tyres have to have dropped off a fair bit, because we don't see guys of this calibre doing slamming in that wall so much. Again, maybe we're into a long green stint. Maybe it's a little bit of concentration starting to fade. Tyre wear, we just don't know.
Yeah, it's getting very, very sketchy out there now as well. And track temperature will be going down a little bit. Tyres will be falling off the cliff. Everything is changing on track. And look, and the other thing as well, drivers will be getting a little bit more tired, a little bit fatigued as it goes on. Barry Neal getting a huge run on Dave Douglas. Looks like he's going to make the move. And they're about 10 laps difference between those tyres as Douglas collects the wall a little bit, gives the wall a scrape as Neal gets past, and Barry Neal takes the lead. And watch out for Barry Neal. He is very good at whispering his tyres, very good at saving them, and he's doing that right now and building himself a bit of a lead.
Yeah, he's been able to get back out to half a second over Dave in half a lap. So some great driving by Barry, just looking after those tyres. So let's see how long before we see guys down pit lane again.
Yeah, I wonder when we're going to see that happening.
Oh, fully Wally again.
Oh. And that was almost disaster for DPR, as two of their cars got very close to each other. Wally having a good run. He's up 10 spots himself. Of course, he's he's not as experienced on the oval side of things for DPR, but he's having some great runs recently. Of course, taking a victory at Daytona last time out. He's going to see how it goes. Riley Curtis has pulled the pin, though. He has decided to bring the 093, the very resplendent looking car with a fantastic paint job and lovely liveries down the side. No favouritism there, but he's bringing that into the lane and getting his service done.
Do we docking pay for those racing stripes down the side through the number and the signage?
Yeah, we get an extra $50 a week, for extra $50 for every stripe for Riley Curtis tonight. So it works out well. He doesn't know that yet, though. So a surprise for him when he gets out of the car. Matty Ray just got past Stevie Dubb, who is just plummeting down the order now. And I've got to say, those tyres are looking very second-hand. And Matty Ray is coming alive in this part of the race.
And
So,
the battle that's really happening at the moment, Carl, is Jones and Douglas. Jones is right on the tail of Dave Douglas there for second position.
well, I did say, he was just looking like he was saving a little bit in the early stages, and now it's coming back to pay because Ryan Jones is flying through the field. The 11 just goes past the 10 and moves up into second place. And Ryan Jones, on his debut for DPR in the Cup, is having a good run at the moment up in P2. Daniel Hederstein has brought it down the lane, and he is going to get his pit stop over and done with and get some fresh boots on that car.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Jones is back into his normal position now, so he'll feel at home.
Exactly. Look, we can't have him finishing any higher than this. It just doesn't feel right.
No, this is. I was just going to say, yeah, a bit of an inside joke, but this is really going to throw up a bit of a curveball for the positionings in the playoffs, because the guys are spread right out through the field now.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's if you get yourself the victory, it really helps in the playoffs. It's an important part of the playoff system. And, well, currently no driver in the playoff is in the top two. So Dave Douglas is sitting up there in third at the moment. He's the highest driver in the playoffs. Then it's Ruben Phelps in fifth position. Matty Ray, sixth. Jai Schultz having a really solid run. Very quiet, but solid. And that's what you want. You want a race like that and a place like this. He's up in seventh position. Norman Clark sits in 10th position. Then you have Daniel Hederscheid, Andrew Dyson, Daniel Hederscheid 13th, Dyson 14th, Lachlan Urquio 15th, JCW 18th, Neil Pearson in 19th position. So it's really been a rough night for those drivers in the playoffs.
Yeah, like you said though, Carl, get through this relatively unscathed and you'll end up with some good points and may find yourself in a safe position.
Yeah, it could be a really important night for some of these drivers, and it could be crucial when we get to those final couple of races this season to see who has absolutely nailed it and who hasn't. And I think that's going to be one of the big things for the playoffs this year is who gets it right and who gets it wrong, and who has a good playoff. It could be a crucial thing. Dave Douglas and Norman Clark both in the lane. So we've got some more pit stops happening now, and look, they're coming in dribs and drabs at the moment. And those drivers, Dave Douglas and Norman Clark, both done 60 laps, so they were getting to the extreme end of it. So that tells us that we might see somebody like Barry Neal keep it out for another 10 laps or so. He's got some really good pace at the moment. He's building up a fairly hefty gap as well. He's 4.2 seconds ahead of Ryan Jones. So he's building a nice gap at the moment. But remember, those drivers that come out on fresh tyres, they will close that gap quickly. But the fresher tyres at the end of the race could prove to be crucial.
Well, that's it too, Carl. I was going to say, wonder how many guys have actually saved a set of tyres in case we do see a late race caution come in, throw a set of tyres on, and especially if we go into overtime.
Yeah, that a green white checker here could be a dangerous thing with some of the racing we've seen tonight, Mark, because the aggression levels get turned up very high on a green white checker. So that could be interesting to see how that one goes. Matty Ray coming into the lane, I think.
If we do go to green white checker, Carl, I'm hiding under that table over the back of the broadcast booth because I reckon we may see someone clear the safety fence.
Yeah, I think it could be a pretty dramatic night still. There could be a sting in the tail for this evening, and look, anything can happen in motorsport, and it usually does. You see the SRM there, Mobile Brake and Mechanical Team, SRM coming down the line. It's Matty Ray, and he's coming into his stop. And look, good start for them. Ruben Phelps coming in as well this time round. So we're starting to see everybody coming down the lane, and I imagine it won't be long until we see the rest of the field coming in. Josh Schultz could be an outrider here with Luke Crum, because they stopped on that sort of final caution, so they only done about 44 laps on this stint, so they could still go another 15 odd laps on this run.
Yeah, and if they can pull that off, that will put Joy in a great spot. Should we get a late race caution? But again, depends if he saved a set of tyres. With him, say where he is now, he's probably got another set of tyres up his sleeve, and he'll duck in and won't need any fuel.
He should have about 2 sets of tyres left.
Yeah, I was going to say he won't need to put a lot of fuel in if he stops in 15 laps time.
Yeah, that's it. Shorter down the lane, and also he's going to have the freshest tyres at the end of this race. He's going to have nice fresh boots at the end of the race. Could be really, really handy for him. And look, a late caution could absolutely pay off here for Jai. So he's got himself in a really good position, the position where you can stick it out longer than anybody else. Because what do we see in green flag pit stops, Mark? We often see the cautions coming out because it's very easy to lose the car on cold tyres, or when you're coming into the lane, just locking up a bit, making a mistake coming into the lane and causing a caution. It's happened a few times.
Yeah, and also coming out, although coming out of the pit lane here, we don't see some of the angle on that apron that we do on the half mile and half tracks, 2 mile tracks. It's reasonably flat on that bottom apron here.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a very different layout of track, and of course the banking here is very different to other tracks. And being that sort of flat section of track, it really unsettles the car. Alexander Sheridan coming into the lane. He's coming in from about P5, and we see Barry Neal coming into the lane now as well, and Neil Pearson too. So it's coming in from the lead, and that hands the lead to Ryan Jones now. So bonus point for Ryan Jones. So that will make him happy. He's going to get a lap led here. He's going to take it out for a bit longer in this stint. Probably can do another lap, I'd say, but he'll be in the pit lane very, very shortly. And then it's going to be Luke Crum and Jai Schultz. So it could be really, really handy for those two as well. So they're in a really good spot if we get a late race caution, because also they'll be a good lap ahead of everybody else.
Now we've got to keep an eye on those front 3 guys, because there'll come a point where those older tyres will be a lot slower. And I just heard over the race radio, Jones in this lap.
Yeah, those older tyres will be really starting to fall off. But the other thing as well is you've got cars out there on some old tyres, cars on fresh tyres, cars on different strategies now as well. And that can often lead to some dramatic moments in a race as well. Ryan Jones coming down the lane, and it's going to be Luke Crum taking the lead of the race. He is up ahead and moves himself up 20 positions so far. And he is now leading the race, and he can go another 9 or so laps in this run before he needs to think about tyres. You don't want to leave it too late, because you've got to take advantage of those tyres. You're going to be losing a lot of time as you're out there on those old tyres as well, because people will be going a lot faster, but you'll have more speed at the end of the race. And if you can time it to perfection, it could work out perfectly. Riley Curtis has done a good job of jumping the pack as well. He's currently sitting ahead of Barry Neal at the moment in 3rd position. But Barry's got very close. Riley Curtis just getting the curse of the commentator in full whack there. He's going to try and keep it down the inside. A little bit of contact between himself and Barry Neal. Riley is battling hard for that position, but his tyres are just not letting him keep there. About 10 laps older, and he can't defend too much.
No, and that's also let Dave Douglas back up into second place once Joy and Luke come into pit lane, because these guys will take over the race lead.
Yeah, the battle is on between Barry Neal and Dave Douglas now. That's going to be the main fight in this race. But you've got to say it's looking good for Barry Neal. His tyres are much, much fresher by about 9 laps over Dave Douglas. So Barry is going to be absolutely flying out there, and he is going to be a hard man to beat at the moment.
Yeah, if you're a betting man, you definitely put your money on the Barry. But no, my luck, if I did that, everything would go to pieces.
They still have a lot of road to make up, though, to the inside lane production cars. Luke Crum up in the lead and really extending this one and hoping for a late caution, of course. You see Jai Schultz as well in the background there as well. He's currently sitting in second and sitting as the highest driver in the playoffs at the moment as well. So a late caution could really, really revitalise their race, as down the inside goes Stevie Dubb and Philip Worley looking to make the move as well. As they're coming up on JCW, who's having a much quieter last half of this race, thankfully for himself. As they get a little bit tight on the exit there, as Crum is racing for position against these guys as well. He wants to try and keep them as close as possible for when he comes down the lane, because when he comes out on fresh tyres, these are going to be the guys he's going to be racing against. So he's got to try and keep himself ahead of them if he can. Not make it too easy for them to pass. Of course, they're unlapping themselves at the moment. So he's trying to make it as tough as possible for them. Tries to save a little bit of time. And he'll soon pull the trigger. And I can't imagine it will be too much longer until they do that and getting their fresh boots. Jai Schultz decides it's time. He's coming to the lane in the 27, and he's going to get his fresh tyres. And I'd say next lap it will be Luke Crum's turn.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the timing, Carl. Barry Neal has made up nearly, well, in that last 2 laps, he's made up 3.5 seconds on Luke Crum. So Barry is definitely flying. So if I was Luke, I'd be pulling the pin right now, getting that fresh rubber.
And that's exactly what he's done. Into pit lane he comes, and he's going to have a 32 lap sprint to the end, and can take advantage of those nice fresh boots as everybody else is out there on some semi-worn tyres, and take advantage of that and try and work his way up the field into probably a top 10 position if you get it all worked out tonight.
Yeah, definitely. So just keeping an eye on when Luke comes back out of the pits. So I'll keep an eye on that, and we'll just see how many laps. The Barry Neal now has inherited the lead, and he's on lap 10 of this set of tyres.
So Luke Crum's popped out in 11th position, just behind Daniel Hederscheid. And Daniel Hederscheid's on tyres that have done about 23 laps. Luke Crum, just behind Alexander Sheridan, I should say. Just in front, or just beside, just racing his teammate there. Jai Schultz just gets past him there. That's the advantage of those fresh boots. And they are up to temperature as well. But once Luke gets them up to a nice working temperature, he is going to be flying through the field. Although Barry Neal has just got past Luke Crum and put him a lap down. So it's all going on at the moment. There is lots of action on track, lots of different strategies at play. And once Luke Crum's tyres come up to temperature, he should work himself up into a decent position. I would hesitate to say he should be in about the 9th place at the end of this race, but we'll see how well my judgment works.
Have you got the crystal ball working?
That's it, the crystal ball and the timing screen. That's the main thing. But it is Barry Neal in the lead. He's got 2.4 second lead over Dave Douglas at the moment. Ryan Jones sits in 3rd position, 10 seconds off the lead, but he's having a close moment. He's very close with his other teammates, Philip Worley, Stevie Dubb, Ruben Phelps, and Riley Curtis right up there as well. Riley's early stop is not working out too well for him now. Those older tyres are starting to kick in, and he's losing a little bit of pace. He's racing with Stevie Dubb at the moment, racing hard with that car, and plenty of action going on there. as Luke Crum just makes his way past Daniel Hedershine. Really nice move. But some really good action going on the track as well. So plenty happening here as Ruben Phelps is looking to make the move on Stevie Dubb now. And this could be important for his championship attack so far as well. Lachlan Oakwear is still out there. He's sitting down in 15th position behind Andrew Dyson. Dyson 4 laps down. Lachlan Oakwear 5 laps down. So it's been a rough night for some of those drivers in the championship in the final little chase to the end of the year. And the playoffs drivers have had a really rough night tonight, Mark.
Yeah, there's some very unfortunate incidents on track, and some really bad nights for these guys in the playoffs. As we just I'm just looking at Jai. He's been able to stay in front of Barry Neal, but Barry Neal's closing him down, but he's just been held up by a lap car at the moment. Luke Crum is there trying to get his lap back, and we can see the speed difference there in those two cars between the race leader and Crum. But it's all going to be interesting. With 26 laps to go, it's I think some gloves are going to start coming off again very shortly.
They are indeed. Alexander Sheridan up there. He's sort of battling for position as well as trying to stay on the lead lap at the moment. So he's got sort of two battles going on as it stands. So plenty happening out here. Barry Neal deciding it's go time down the inside of the 555. And this is where we're seeing problems tonight, is people just getting a bit tight through there. Luke Crum does the perfect job of following the leader past Alexander Sheridan, times that to perfection and moves himself up into 11th position. So those fresh tyres really paying off. It's not quite got the speed on Barry Neal, who you've got to say is one of the took pole position tonight, not with good reason. He is very fast around this track. But if you can stick to the back of Barry Neal, you're in a really prime position because, of course, people are probably going to be a little bit more conceding to the leader of the race. Jump out the way a little bit, and then you can make the opportunity to pounce on those guys as they go down a lap. So lots of action here up the front. The mid-pack sort of spread out a little bit. So there's not too many close battles at the moment. Probably the closest as it stands is Ruben Phelps and Philip Worley. Phelps trying to close the gap there at the moment.
Barry Neal's been able to make that pass, or in the process of making that pass. The last two laps we've seen Jai into the outside wall, just not getting the downforce that he would like. Now his teammate Luke Crum is making the move on him. That puts Jai back to 11th. And that leaves us with 9 cars on the lead lap. The last car being Norman Clark in P9.
Yeah, this is exactly what we needed, a nice long green period. You know, it's everybody's getting a little bit more settled in the cars, and everybody is racing hard. But we're seeing some moves happening. Meanwhile, Norman Clark's just made a move on Riley Curtis, as Riley Curtis coming into the lane. Riley's decided to bring it into the lane. I don't know what this one's for, because I didn't have him scheduled for a stop, and can't see any other reason. Maybe trying something very different. But Riley Curtis bringing it into the lane. He was running up in about P8, I think. So that's moved Luke Crum up into 9th position. Let's see if he can do any better than that tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I know Kobe, if he's out there watching this, he's still got to be happy. He's got 3 of his cars out there. And the highest being Luke Crum in 9, Jai Schultz in 10th, and Christopher Tomlin down in 16th.
Well, we've got 9 cars back on the lead lap because Luke Crum just unlapped himself. That just shows the pace he's got at the moment, getting past Barry Neal. So moving himself up there. Riley Curtis is back out on track. So I wonder if he came in a little bit too soon and wasn't going to make it to the end. So, because Riley was the first driver to stop, and I wonder if he did it just a tad too soon and couldn't make it to the end on fuel. So he's had to come in for another stop. So that will be interesting to see, because there's a couple of drivers out there who are going to be in a similar boat, I'd say.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who has been able to save just that little bit. But everyone should make it home now by the lap counter. Everyone should make it home. The guy that's out there that's done the longest stint is Stevie Williams on 34 laps. So he should have enough fuel in the tank to make it home.
Yeah, that's it. Should be just okay. Like drivers that are a little bit close. Daniel Hederscheid, he's done 37 laps on the stint, so he's did a couple of extra there. So he's going to be marginal, but should be just about okay. But it's not been a good end to the race for the 035. He's down in 12th position, and he's going to have Riley Curtis chasing him down as well, I'm sure, in the near future. So it's not been a good start to the playoffs for Daniel Hederscheid as well. So another big name and one of the favourites, you've got to say, for sort of taking it to those final few races. Daniel Hederscheid is in a position that sort of leaves him a little bit out of sorts. And so same for Neil Pearson and Andrew Dyson. It's really shaken things up, you've got to say, as they can't afford to have another couple of races like this.
No, definitely not. I know some of these guys will be just wanting to get out off this track tonight, and looking forward to picking it back up at Kansas next week, which is a totally different track to what we're on tonight.
Yeah, they're going to hope to get it back, as there's a bit of a move down the line as Dave Douglas has lost the position to Ryan Jones. Ryan Jones moving himself up into his favourite position of P2. Yeah, Ryan Jones has had a massive streak of finishing second in almost every race he was competing in. So it's become a running joke of him being the driver that finishes second in these races.
Yeah, he's definitely made P2. He's home this year. So let's say I don't think he can catch Barry, although saying that he was 0.04 of a second faster than Barry on that last lap, so he is slightly quicker, but I don't know if there's enough laps left for him to catch Neil.
Yeah, you've got to say Barry Neal's sitting in a really good position at the moment. Ryan Jones, little tiny, he's had a couple of moments where he's been a little bit quicker, but generally it's Barry Neal that's setting the pace at the moment, one of the fastest cars out there, not on fresh tyres. So that's looking good for the 22.
And as you say that, he's just he's your second car that on that last lap that has set a 29 second lap, and the other one being Luke Crum. But now they both back up into the very low 30s.
Yeah, Barry's got some really good pace at the moment, considering his tyres are 30 laps old, a little bit older than Ryan Jones's. So, he's still setting at some excellent pace up at the front. And as we said before, he is one of those drivers that's really good at saving his tyres and making them work in the long run. He's very good at making them work throughout a race. So, battle going on at the moment between Matty Ray and Stevie Dubb. Stevie Dubb has got Matty Ray all over the back of him at the moment. And that battle is starting to get very, very hot out there, and probably the closest battle at the moment on track. They got Riley Curtis coming up on them as well. Riley Curtis, of course, on fresh tyres, so he will have a nice lick of pace at the moment, and will be trying to see what he can do in this race after that. I've got to say, mistimed pit stop it looked like, and he just had to make a second stop for fuel, and rather than doing it at the end and not being able to gain some positions back, he decided to come in a little bit earlier.
Yeah, unfortunately for Riley, he's now sitting down in 13th position, 2 laps down. but we have seen some great pace out of him this year, tonight, I should say.
Another driver that's got good pace is the 030, Luke Crum. He just got past Norman Clark, moving himself up into 8th position and getting himself a nice finishing spot for this race. If it continues as it does, he's on some much fresher tyres as well and moves himself up into 8th in this race. So working out very well for Luke Crum at the moment.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you better be careful. You might find yourself in the top 5.
He's definitely knocking on the door at the moment. He's got a lot of time to make up though, and not a lot of laps to do it. So it's going to be tricky to catch up to Maddie Ray. But if we see a late caution, then well, anything can happen, can't it? Indeed.
Yeah, well, I think the guys that are left, if we see a late race caution, we may even end up seeing a Daytona finish on that a late race caution.
Yeah, we could. I think if we see a late caution, if we see a green white checker tonight, we could well see a caution finishing this race, because the aggression levels are going to be right through the roof from everybody. But at the moment, it is it's going well for a few drivers. There's some big movers and shakers through the field. Philip Worley up 9 positions, Dave Douglas up 8 positions, Norman Clark up 9 positions, Luke Crum up 13 positions. So it seems like starting a little bit further down the pack tonight has paid off indeed. The drivers that were starting up towards the front, Barry Neal, of course, starting from pole position, and he finds himself up at the front of the race again, leading away to the flag. Ryan Jones, he started down in 3rd position. He's moved himself up 1 spot, up into 2nd. And Philip Worley just made a move on Ruben Phelps as well. So Philip Worley getting some late pace in there as well, catching Ruben Phelps by surprise, moving himself up a spot into 4th spot, racing hard here in the top 5. Getting caught just behind JCW there, giving him a little bit of a tap at the back, down the straight. Couple of extra ponies in the back there as they go through, and again Ruben Phelps is going to be trying to get that position back. He would sorely love to get a top 4 tonight, not just a top 5.
Yeah, again, it'll come that 1 position may be a difference in the playoff in the long run.
So we are nearing the end of tonight's race, and it's been a traumatic one for some drivers, a dramatic one for others, and, well, a great race for a few other people as well. But it is Barry Neal up the front in the Kiwi paint job tonight, the All Black paint job. And look, very different paint job from Barry Neal, but it looks like it's paying off here tonight as the white flag flies. Just 1 more lap to go, not much further in this race. And he will be tasting the champagne here at Darlington. The Lady in Black has bitten many people tonight, but Barry Neal has managed to just about tame the track. Taking pole position tonight, he is also going to be taking the win. It makes it look on paper like it was an easy night. It was anything but it is Barry Neal taking the victory tonight here. The 22 crosses the line in the playoff season, and it's Barry Neal taking the win. One of the wild cards taking the win here tonight at Darlington. Ryan Jones is going to come across the line in 2nd. With his lovely Neil Pearson paint job on the front of his car. I've only just seen that as my train paint is only just loaded in. Dave Douglas comes home in 3rd position, the highest of the playoff drivers. Dave's going to be delighted with that one. Philip Worley comes home in 4th, and Ruben Phelps comes home in 5th. The 2nd driver in the playoffs is Stevie Dub in 6th position. Maddie Ray comes home in 7th. 3rd in the playoffs, Luke Crum. Fantastic job tonight, coming home in 8th, up a solid 13 positions. A really good run from him. Norman Clark finishes in 9th position, 4th in the playoffs. Jai Schultz comes home in 10th, 5th in the playoff drivers, and it's Alexander Sheridan, Riley Curtis, Daniel Hederscheid, Andrew Dyson, Lachlan Upgrade, Christopher Tomlin, Gentry Carroll Walden, Neil Pearson, Shane Bowen, Phil Otto, and Cody Jordan.
Whoa, what a race.
Absolutely. Absolutely a very dramatic race throughout the field. And a dramatic way to start off the playoffs, you've got to say. But one man that is going to be delighted is Barry Neal, the part-timer in the Cup car these days. But when he puts in a performance like that, you've got to say, well, you've got to come here more often, mate.
Yeah, definitely. And we might have to tell him to keep that paintwork on as we just see that Toyota engine go bang.
That's how you can tell iRacing is not fully a proper working simulator, because the Toyota went bang. In real life, that would never happen. Much more reliable than those Chevy things. Great job from Barry Neal. He is going to be absolutely chuffed with that one, I am sure. As we said, a dramatic start to the playoffs. Similar things to last year, you got to say. But Barry Neal, absolutely well deserving of that win.
Yeah, definitely. Very up and down for the playoff guys. It's going to be interesting now heading into these next two races to see who can actually pull some points back on the playoff, Carl. As we see the guys starting to jump into the green room.
Yeah, as we will get our drivers moseying on in and getting ready for some interviews tonight. But it's a great night, you've got to say, for Dave Douglas for the start of the playoffs, because that's going to really help him out for this season. He only just scraped in the playoffs. He was one of those drivers that was slightly at risk coming into those final few races, but this is going to really, really shake things up, and he's going to be at the top of the table, towards the top of the table after that one. So I'm sure he's going to be pretty delighted with that.
Yeah, and he'd be absolutely ecstatic. As you said, Carl, he only just made it in those last couple of regular races of the season. So DD would be very happy with that.
So, speaking of the man, as we often do, you speak of the devil, and he does appear in the broadcast booth. There we go. It is the man that is pretty in pink. It's Mr. Dave Douglas. Dave, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on P3 here at Darlington.
Hey, boys, what's going on? Just trying to do it for the old dogs, mate, I hate this track, and my mindset was run clean and stay out of trouble. There was plenty around me, and I just didn't drop the ball.
You didn't indeed. I mean, you're the highest finishing playoff driver tonight. That's got to be a nice feeling.
Yeah, well, I don't know if the overlay was coming through for the playoff scheme or not, but on my screen it's not. So maybe that's your hope. Maybe don't put a playoff thing on your. Don't put a playoff banner on your car, and you're laughing. Just put an orange number on top.
That's it. Well, I mean, we at least the pink was on there. Maybe that's something to do with it.
That's it, mate. I told you. It's all the pink. It's. I don't know. I chucked it on just because the playoff paint, changed it up so no one thinks I'm normie. And it's so far so good. Touch wood.
Well, absolutely. Fingers crossed. It's a good omen for the rest of the season. As you said, not your favourite track, Darlington. It doesn't always hit everybody's favourite tracks. Some people love it, but some people are masochists. Obviously, going into Kansas, you must be feeling a little bit more confident heading off there.
No. Honestly, the first two tracks of the playoffs are my worst. So I hate Kansas and I hate Darlington. And so if I could go to Kansas and mimic this sort of result, mate, we might go all the way,
If you could Bradbury your way through, it would be perfect.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Exactly right. Did you see them crashing in front of me tonight, mate? I'll just letting them go. You boys go race hard, go race your hardest, and they did. And I'll take it because that was the mindset, and I was just concede and just get a good finish on a lead lap, I guess.
I was just going to say, Dave, the secret is don't change that paint.
Yeah, no, she's staying. She's staying for the rest of the season now. Maybe I won't even put that banner on yet. Neil won't be happy, but the banner was good though. He did a good job with everybody's little banner there, so good on him. Unlucky for him tonight though, but he probably it was probably his race to win or lose. Unlucky to get caught up in some rubbish, mate.
Absolutely. He had some really good pace out there tonight. But look, he's had some good pace all season long. It's about time he had some bad luck. Same for that other bloke in DPR as well.
Yeah, well, that's right. See, that early caution just mixed up a little bit. There's guys come in, took their little tyre change, pressure changes. Some stayed out. Another 20 laps went down. Some came in, some stayed out. It was a bit mixed up at the start. It was an interesting race to see how it would pan out. And I thought I might have had something there when I got to the lead there, but Barry Neal, mate, he killed it. He killed it on that second last stint. He came out in front of me. I was like, what the heck? Like, I've been on new tyres. He's still in front of me. I was a bit disheartened, but anyway, Jonesy did it right too, I guess.
Yeah, he came second. That's where he belongs.
Standard, mate.
Yeah, that's it. It's normal for him. Look, it was a really good run for you tonight. I mean, just in that the second to final stint there, it looked like your tyres dropped off a fair bit at the end there.
Yeah, they hit a cliff. I said they're like I was struggling to get in. Like I think that's what Barry made all the time on me. Like it just died, and then I figured I'd just come in and try and undercut at least, and then it sort of died again right in the last 3 laps of that race. But I think Ruben and that were battling behind, so I was able just to keep the pace up and make it.
Absolutely. Look, you kept it in a perfect place tonight, Dave. Well done indeed. Congratulations for tonight. Third place in the race, but the first of the playoff drivers.
Yeah, baby, we're leading the playoffs, baby. Let's go.
Absolutely. I knew you'd be happy about that. Good luck in Kansas, mate. Hopefully I will be speaking to you again in the very near future.
Sounds good, boys. And shout out Riley for always being on touch with the paintbrush, mate, getting these paints whenever I need them. Shout out ANZCAR. Shout out you boys, putting on the big show. And sorry to Edward for missing the private vision, but end of month at work, it gets a bit hectic. But anyway, I'll probably get banned from flaming playoffs now. I know something. I'm sure it'll be all right.
Yeah, you missed the meeting, so therefore, disqualified.
Cut straight away. All right, boys, take it easy, eh?
Have a good one, Dave. Thank you so much, and we'll see you back soon, mate.
I love you, mate.
Dave Douglas there for the casting couch entry, and you can tell by just how happy he was. He was delighted.
I was just going to say, I don't think I've ever seen someone so happy to be in third place.
I know. It's very much that meme of like the guy biting on the medal, kissing the woman, celebrating hard, finishing in third. Gets the Pierre Gasly Award from the weekend. Next up, it's going to be the new DPR driver, the man that, second place is basically home for him. It's Ryan Jones. Welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations, P2 for debut with DPR in the Cup.
Yeah, not a bad result. I don't know if it's for debut. Oh, it's for debut in the Cup Series, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we've had a pretty good week. First time out at simrigs.com DPR. Second on Monday. Got the win yesterday. P2 tonight. Not bad.
Exactly. I mean, it was a little bit of a technical issue yesterday. I mean, that's not right. But P2 for the other two races, that's exactly where we like you to be.
Yeah, man. It's just, what do you want from me, man?
We just love you finishing second. But no, it's been a really strong week. And obviously joining DPR, how's that been for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's all the same thing, right? Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. It's just getting a team around me that I can bounce off. Especially tonight, I was terrible in practice. I don't know where my quali lap came from, and then the race, I really struggled at the start. But I managed to put some changes into the car, which I haven't done previously in the Cup Series, and it came alive for me, which was pretty good. So. Yeah, then just play a bit of a strategy from there and came through. And we fixed some brake pedals as well. That was costing me a bit of time, so I fixed that. So that's a big up on that.
That's a good news. I mean, we were talking before in the booth before we went live, and we were saying, Jonesy's been quick anyway, but with DPR, that little bit of extra helping hand here and there, that could be a dangerous thing. And well, so far this week, it's proven right.
Yeah. A little bit of luck this week. I joined DPR for the lucky horseshoe that all the DPR cars have, and it's already worked for me this week, so it's pretty good. I managed to dodge every wreck that happened tonight. That was a few of them. I mean, Daiso and Neil are really unlucky. They both could have won the race, should have won the race, but, you take it when you can.
Is that the reason their luck went out the window? You've just stolen it all from them?
Yeah, I think that's it. I've come in and taken the horseshoe off them all.
Yeah, that's it. You've ruined the streak. No, look, a really great performance. And look, as you were saying before, changing the car setup a little bit. Was that more helpful having a team behind you, just getting an idea on what direction to go?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I got no idea what any of it does, but they had an idea for the first changes, and I thought it was pretty good. They went in a different direction halfway through the race, but I thought the initial changes were working really, really well for me. I changed from that after the first stop, and it was terrible. So I went back, and it worked pretty nicely. And then that middle stint, they're all battling in front now, so I was able to save my tires and drive through them pretty quickly, and that just set up the rest of the race for me, I think.
Yeah, we were talking about that because we sort of noticed you hanging back a little bit, and we were wondering, is it because just not quite on the pace? And I said, no, probably more so saving a little bit. And then that final run on that stint, it looked like you had some great pace over the rest.
Yeah, well, we went for the overcut, and that pretty much sealed the deal. The overcut's pretty king these days with the way the tyre wear works, and yeah, from there, just trying to keep yourself out of trouble with the lapped cars. Some of them are a bit dicey, but it's a tough track to pass on. And the power of Neil Pearson on my bonnet was helping me a lot as well, I think.
Absolutely. Look, Neil's taken, unfortunately, so you can't marry him, Ryan. But a great job tonight. Congratulations on P2 here tonight, and also for the win yesterday, I guess. Probably a nice thing to have as well. Look, before we let you go, the shout out, the love, and look, sponsors, you've got them to do now as well. So I hope you've got the list ready.
I've got the list. I was reminded about this. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, simrigs.com. Obviously, Southwell Lifts and Hoist, Burmax Mechanical, and NP Designs. All the boys in the race today tonight, Daiso and Pearson and Worley and Stevie Dubb. Good fun bouncing off them, and Mum watching on as always, of course, and you guys for putting on a good show. It'd be fun to go back and watch. And yeah, Barry, good job out there. He was too fast for me tonight.
Absolutely. He had the magic touch here tonight, but coming home second, not a bad feat. Congratulations, Ryan. Well done indeed. Hopefully we'll have you back in the booth in the very near future, mate.
Cheers, boys.
Ryan Jones there for DPR.
I was just going to say, Carl, I'll tell you what, there's only one scarier face that I wouldn't want to see behind me after that. That picture of Mr. Pearson on the front of that bonnet, and that's Mr. Skurlock, which we haven't seen for a while.
No, I mean, we've got a couple out there, but it's tough to decide which is worse. I mean, and finally tonight, our winner for the race, the New Zealander, it is Mr. Barry Neal. Barry, welcome back to the booth, mate. It's been too long since we last talked to you, but talking to you for a victory is a fantastic thing. Congratulations tonight, mate.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yes, it has been a while. I think since the start of the playoffs last year was the last time I was here. Oh, no, actually, I did get a third at some point, didn't I, during the season? But yes, no, it's good to be back. Thanks, Carl.
Absolutely, and it's good to have you back on top. I mean, speaking of that, I think you got a win last playoffs, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yes, at Kansas.
That's right, yeah. I was trying to think where it was, but yeah, it's Kansas, and we're off to Kansas next. So, first question, are we going to see you back next week?
Yeah, hope so. Yeah, no, I like Kansas, so I'll have a race there. Yes.
Absolutely, disrupting the playoffs.
I was just going to say, don't change that paint scheme.
Oh my! I thought it was going to be a throwback, so I put my SVG TKR paint scheme on just to celebrate SVG doing such a good job in NASCAR the other week.
No, well, look, I mean, that's probably what did it. I mean, you know, say the little bit of giz in there just helped it along a little bit. But you've got a talent of just saving tyres and getting them working on tracks like this, and it really paid off for you tonight.
Yes, yeah, I was discussing it before. I was kind of a bit lucky in the sense that I kept my head while everyone else was losing theirs. But once it settled down and we got into the longer runs, I certainly was running well, and I could see that, you know, apart from those bloody back markers that caused a drama a few times, that I could pull away from those behind me and do it reasonably easily too. Actually, I was pretty just trying, not going too fast, but just running nicely. So I was quite pleased with the way that I've been doing that. Actually, I've been doing a lot of ARCA racing of lately, of the official ARCAs, and I think I've learned some more stuff about how to drive better with your tires, which is always a good thing.
Oh, don't tell us that. That's scary stuff, Barry, because you're always one of the drivers that we fear on track when there's that ability. So you learning more and getting better at it, that's just a scary prospect.
Yeah, but you know, actually, I'm kind of a bit lucky in in the sense with those official races, I often race in the top split with the really good guys, and you get thrashed in those races, but you kind of learn some stuff, so it's always good.
Look, always good to get those learning it done and getting better and things like that. It's always a good thing. It's always good to see you on track as well. Just quickly as well, we saw obviously Neil Pearson getting taken out. Unfortunately, he had some really good pace early on. Were you just trying to save the tyres a little bit then? And do you think you could have taken it to him, or was it sort of going to be just seeing what you could do?
Yeah, they're like that first stint where we were on the front row and he got that good jump, and then. So for that first stint, when I was just sitting behind him for that whole of it, no, I don't think I ever got more than a few tenths back. I was pretty happy. I was just happy with that. My biggest worry is that come a pit stop with someone like Neil, they know what they're doing when it comes to tire pressures and stuff, and they get a rocket ship because I just run the fixed setup the whole time, don't do any changes. So I was worried. I was more worried that come a pit stop, they would set their cars up really nicely and just run away.
No, well, you absolutely had it working tonight. I mean, and that's always a good thing to hear as well, as a driver just absolutely making the fixed set work and not sort of worrying about all the twiddly bits, because that's always nice to hear somebody taking the victory with that too. A really good job tonight, Barry. Before I let you go, though, the usual thing, the love, the shout-outs, people, sponsors, go for it, mate. You absolutely deserve it.
Yeah, no, thanks. Aotearoa Racing, but you had the chance to say TKR today, so I'm sure that made it easier for you.
I'm sure I still messed it up somehow.
No, TKR is pretty bloody easy to say, isn't it? Aotearoa Racing, Tony Richards Toyota, be seeing you, Cognitive RS, and MRX Race Sims.
Look, congratulations tonight, Barry. Thank you so much as always, and hopefully we're going to see you back at Kansas and back up in victory lane, mate.
Cool, thanks. Good night.
Barry Neal there, and look, it turns up in the playoffs, doesn't race full season, but when he turns up, he is always bloody quick, and he's proven it again tonight, getting the win in the first race of the playoffs here at Darlington. And watch out at Kansas, because he is very good on that track too. A dramatic start to the playoffs, Mark, and it's really shaken things up.
Oh, hasn't it? What? It's as I said earlier, it's going to be very interesting heading into these next two races to see who can claw some points back and stay in their playoffs.
Absolutely. Look, all it would take is one more bad race for somebody like Dyson, Pearson. If they have another bad race, that could be it for them, and that would be a huge shocker to the season.
Yeah, definitely, especially like Dyson and Pearson, as you just said, Carl. They have won the most races between them this year, and to lose one of them early in the playoffs would be a big shock.
Absolutely. Well, we hope you can join us here next week for round number 2 of the playoffs. Of course, it will be same place, same time here on Performance E-Streaming. But if you've not had enough of racing this week, we still have you covered, because we are going to be having the V8s heading to you on Sunday night. And I will wait for Matt to pip in and help me out here. Oh, sorry, Matt, what was that?
Phillip Island.
Phillip Island. Yeah, that's right. I should know that, because I was talking about that. Of course, we're heading off to a twiddly course. Of course, we're heading to Phillip Island for the first road course in the series. And that's going to be a very different challenge. So it's a bit more of a natural habitat for the V8s. So that's going to really shake things up. And we're going to see some of those road course specialists having a very good night, I am sure. That's going to be a very different race indeed. And then on Saturday night, Mark, over on Checkered Flag E-Streaming, fingers crossed, touch wood, hopefully we get a good turnout and we will be seeing the race with you guys.
Yeah, Talladega for the superhero round this week. I've already seen some of the paint schemes that are being shown, and some of the boys have done some really great work for those next week. And I was just going to say to Matt, good luck for Sunday night with all those cameras to play with, mate.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. The only road course races I've ever done have been with NASCAR style, so it's going to be interesting with V8s on Phillip Island, that's for sure.
And me and Carl naming corners wrong. So a bit of fun coming up.
Yeah, it's one of the few tracks that I really know nothing about, unfortunately, for the Island. I know I'm going to be hung, drawn, and quartered by the Australians for that, I'm sure. But yeah, it's one of the few tracks in the world that I have absolutely no clue on.
Mate, it's not an oval and it's not dirt, so I know absolutely nothing either. So I think we both better go start studying some track maps.
Well, I think it used to be dirt back in the 20s when it first opened, back when it had the first Grand Prix on there. That much I know. I know back from the 20s era, but, you know, anything more modern, useless. Anyway, we look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. I'm as ever Mr. Carl Wilkinson, Mr. Mark Johansson, of course, Matt Hunter. We will wish you a good night and we'll see you back here soon.